Hi, everybody. So I have, what do I have? I have 16 PowerPoint slides to review. As always, I like to start just showing this photo of Abby and Libby, because this case is about them. Hopefully justice is coming, but we'll find out maybe within the next week or so. Chat overview. Slow mode is on, 20 seconds between messages just to cut down on any kind of spam. All types of opinions are welcome. Just be polite, or moderators will ban anyone being rude or commenting negatively about people instead of chatting about the case facts. Click the name of an annoying person in the chat to block them. I never see hundreds of comments, so use the chat to talk to other people. In the top of the chat box, it defaults to show top chat, but you can change to live chat to see all comments. Finally, I try not to curse, but can't promise anything. I do not highlight comments with curses in them. Here we go. November 4th, Monday. So I got this information from a variety of sources in Indiana, news websites, and I just compiled it and tried to summarize it as best as possible. First up, Rick walked into the courtroom apparently carrying a Bible, according to News 8's Kyla Russell, and he showed Baldwin, the defense attorney, a verse from that Bible. So I believe first up was Dr. Polly Wescott. Her specialty is forensic psychology and neuropsychology. The defense hired her in May 2023 to assess Rick's mental, emotional, and physical health decline in Westville Prison. So she did a lot of extensive review, including his mental health treatment records, videos, and his phone calls. She met Rick at Westville in August 2023, which was about 4 to 5 months after he started confessing, and she performed the assessment over 2 days. She also spoke with Rick's wife for additional information, and her final report was 127 pages. She determined that Rick had an extensive mental health record, including severe anxiety through his childhood before starting anxiety medication in his 20s. He also had depression, fears of failure, and suicidal ideation through young adulthood and adulthood. Rick said his wife played a crucial role in putting him back together. Rick has dependent personality disorder, which is a type of anxious personality disorder that leaves the patient feeling helpless, unable to make decisions, and incapable of taking care of themselves. So he relied on his wife, mother, and family for support to feel like a whole person, according to Dr. Polly Wescott. Continuing, Wescott came to 6 conclusions in her assessment. Long history of mental health issues, not faking or exaggerating his symptoms, slower to understand, process, and respond to things, experienced a complete mental health decrease in Westville, major depressive disorder, and slipped into psychosis due to stress. Finally, Rick's brain chemistry was changed while in prison due to no contact with his wife and family. So Rosie handed Dr. Wescott, Rick's writing samples she previously reviewed, including a letter he wrote asking for assistance from the court in November 2022, and a letter he wrote his wife before he was incarcerated. The prosecution objected to admitting the handwritten letters, calling them hearsay, but Gull admitted them after redacting a few words. Rosie asked Wescott to evaluate the handwriting, not the words in the samples. Wescott said the November 2022 sample was organized and well thought out, but the letter structure from a later sample was completely different and fragmented. So I guess she's talking about the way he wrote the letters, like the actual alphabet letters, and not the actual content and the words and the thoughts he was trying to convey. Wescott gave Rick a mild cognitive impairment test, which is a comprehensive test for personality features and mental health disorders. The test also evaluated if Rick was faking his symptoms. The state objected, saying they asked for a copy of these results but did not receive them. The defense attorney, Rosie, explained they could only be given to a mental health professional and that the state did not even take the time to take a deposition of Dr. Wescott. Dr. Wescott continued, she did not believe Rick was faking his mental illness. She administered, what is he doing? Is he faking in the prison cell what he's doing? Because probably like 7 of the guards said they thought he was faking, and Walla at first said she thought he was faking. Later, she may have had her doubts. So Wescott administered 25 tests, which came to the conclusions Rick was not very resilient in the face of stress and was prone to decompensation and could slip into psychosis. which was seen in his behavior from December 2022 to July 2023. Rick's brain chemistry changed due to sensory deprivation during solitary confinement. Wescott also commented on Dr. Wall's report that Rick's murder confessions were in a quote-unquote story-like manner, according to Wescott, but the videos of Rick at the same time weren't logical, and his brain was like a fun house during solitary confinement, and she was worried he had delirium. Not sure what kind of technical word in psychology is funhouse. So next up is Diener with her cross-examination of Wescott. I guess Diener stated that Dr. Walla visited Rick every day at Westville, so he was technically not completely deprived of social interaction. He also was interacting with suicide companions every day, sometimes constantly when they were watching him, not just every 15 minutes. It was constant. She asked if Wescott received all the Department of Correction records. Wescott believed so, given there was information from every day Rick was in Westville. Rick said, quote, "Satan killed the girls," end quote, and she felt he was making statements inconsistent with reality. Diener asked if Rick's dependence could have been transferred from his wife to Dr. Walla, and Wescott said no, Rick was only confiding in Dr. Walla. Dr. Wescott continued. I think this is the last slide for her. So she took the suicide companion notes a, quote, certain amount of weight, end quote, in her overall assessment. People experiencing psychosis are not in the same reality as others, but can still say factual things. Diener commented that 2 of Rick's confessions were not in Wescott's report and asked if she didn't find them significant. Wescott confirmed she did use those confessions and summarized them in her report. So the jury had a few questions for her. Juror question number 1. If Rick has the common sense to be afraid to leave his cell, would he have the common sense to fake his symptoms? Wescott said Allen's statements about being afraid was before his psychotic episode. Next question by the jury. If he was depressed as a child, would that cause him to commit crimes as an adult? Wescott said not always, and that it depends on the personality type. Juror question number 3. Would depression as a child cause them to become a sex addict? No. Did you watch Allen's police interview in October 2022? Yes. So this first question says, if Rick has the common sense to be afraid to leave a cell, would he have the common sense to fake his symptoms? And I just think of when I was listening to Rick's phone calls to his wife and mom saying, I did it. He seemed to be aware enough saying, will you still love me? Like, so he's aware of the consequences of his statements to his family. And they said, no, you're not telling the truth. So did he stop confessing because he saw or heard how it was affecting negatively his wife and his mom? Moving along. Next witness is Max Baker, the defense intern. So on Saturday, when I was in the courtroom, he showed about 15 videos from the camcorder that would follow Rick around the prison at Westville. So it's more of that today. Videos from inside Rick's cell, not just walking around the prison with the guards. The TV, again, was only visible to the jury, Judge Gull, and the witness stand. Baker created the video by piecing together smaller parts of footage Rick did not watch. So video number 1 was from April 12th, 2023. It was 1 hour and 20 minutes from a 5-hour time period. Jurors took notes and one raised her eyebrows throughout, according to one reporter. Video number 2 is from May 25th, 2023. It was 26 minutes from a 12-hour time period, which to me is like, well, what's going on the other 11 and a half hours? While watching, many jurors glanced at Rick. I don't know what that means. Baker, so Max Baker, the intern, looked through 18 to 20 hours of footage between April and July 2023. But if his jail cell or his prison cell is under 24-hour surveillance, that looks, I don't know, like only 20 hours? Okay, we'll keep it moving. So McClelland cross-examined Max Baker and said, was it better for Rick to be in his cell alone? Rosie, the defense attorney, objected, and Gull sustained. So Gull is not being biased. She is ruling in favor of the defense sometimes. Why did Baker choose the camcorder video shown on Saturday that included Rick being tased, showering, eating feces, receiving an x-ray, and interacting with his nurse? Baker picked the videos he did because they showed, quote, Rick's life in prison, end quote. Next, McClelland commented that Baker showed, quote, what he viewed as his worst condition in Westville, end quote. and that Baker, quote, showed the jury the video to try to show that Richard Allen is the victim, end quote. Rosie said to Max, the intern, "You picked what you picked to show them the truth," and Max said yes. The reporter said many objections were raised and Baker became snippy at one point. Jury questions. Just one. Did the defense attorneys ask you to choose the worst videos? Max said, "I had my own discretion." Next up is Shelby Hicks. She was 23 years old in 2017. So she went to, I'm about to reveal this. So she went to the trail with her boyfriend. His initials are DP, Daniel Pearson, if you've heard his name before. So she said she took her car in for repair and went for a hike with her boyfriend, Daniel Pearson, and arrived around 2:30 p.m. and parked at the Mears lot. There were other cars there at that time. They walked toward the highway, Hoosier Heartland Highway, which is like toward the Freedom Bridge entrance. So they walked to the Mears intersection, made a right toward the highway, walked for about 5 minutes, and then went backwards and walked toward the High Bridge. She said it takes 10 to 15 minutes to get to the High Bridge. They saw, quote, an older gentleman with a camera. I wrote what we know as flannel shirt guy, Dave McCain, end quote. Two girls from school she said hi to, which we learned last week was Cheyenne and Shelby Duncan, end quote, a few other kids, end quote, which I'd like to know who those kids were and how many there were and where they were. So Shelby continued, they were on the bridge's first platform for 15 to 20 minutes and went back to her car after. She does not remember if other cars were there when she left. The next day, they went to police, but were asked to come back at another time, and they went back that evening. She did not hear anything on the bridge. They met with law enforcement on February 14th and again sometime during March 2017. Police never took her phone to extract her data. So Diener, I guess, cross-examined, and she said, "What was your cellular provider?" She said it was Sprint. Also, she's never walked across the entire High Bridge. Jury questions. Was the man with the camera old? Yes. So it seems like that was not bridge guy, flannel shirt guy, Dave McCain. I believe this is the final jury question. Did you arrive at the bridge at 2:55? Could have been. What's her answer? Next up was Rick's half-sister, Jaime. She said Rick is 5 years older than her, and they lived together all through childhood. Rick got married right after getting back from being in the military. Also, Rick did not ever molest her or touch her inappropriately. I guess Rick said maybe in one of these confessions, I believe it may have been to a suicide companion and not on the phone to his wife or mom. So Rick may have said he touched his sister. So the defense wanted to have her get on the stand and say, no, that's not true. So if Rick is saying untrue things in prison, is he also saying untrue confessions that he killed Abby and Libby? So again, she said Rick did not ever molest her or touch her inappropriately. The defense attorney, Auger, asked, do you love your brother? She said yes. Would you lie for him? No. Luttrell's cross-examination, does the name Chris ring a bell? So Rick also said he molested somebody named Chris, and that's why Luttrell is asking this half-sister, does the name Chris ring a bell? At this point, Auger objected as they were discussing neighborhood kids while Allen and Jones, so Jamie's last name is Jones, when they were growing up, the objection is sustained. Next up is Rick's daughter, who a lot of people have been wondering, why has she not shown up? Which I've always said, don't read too much into that. So she said she moved out of their house in 2015 for a job and attended Ball State and then went to Indianapolis. Auger asked, did your father molest you? She said no. Would you lie for him? She also said no. I think there was some kind of confusion online with reporting that she was also asked, do you love your father? Some reporters may have said she said no. Other reporters clarified later that maybe she said yes. I'm not sure. I guess we'll have to wait and find out for more clarification from people who were in the courtroom. So that's fairly short questions for her. The Troll's cross-examination. Did you and your father go on the trail a lot? Also, did you and your father go on the Monon High Bridge? Defense attorney Auger objected. So then Luttrell asked, did Rick change his appearance after she left for Ball State, which is a college? She said no. She was also asked, Luttrell asked her about Rick's height and weight, and Auger objected for some reason. He showed her photos of Rick, and then OJ asked to approach the bench. Rick smiled, according to a reporter, Rick smiled at his daughter, but she did not make eye contact with him other than for a second, did not acknowledge him, and was teary-eyed on the stand. Again, that's just one reporter's observation. Continuing with his daughter, after the sidebar, Latrell showed her photos and asked if Rick looked like that in February 2017, and she said yes. OJ objected the photos are outside the scope of questioning, and Gull sustained the objection. Jury questions. She told the jury she visited the bridge in her teens and crossed the high bridge with her dad and only crossed it 1 or 2 times total. Rick smiled at her as she left. Again, I don't know that she looked over at him. Next up, Steve Mullen. I think this is his 5th time on the stand. Baldwin showed him a list of Ford Focus SEs. We know Rick has a Ford Focus SE from 2016. So Baldwin showed Mullen a list of Ford Focus SEs registered in Cass County, Carroll County, and Tippecanoe counties between 2011 and 2017. Baldwin said Mullen only focused on cars that were similar to Rick's when they were looking at, I guess, this 1:27 p.m. video from Hoosier Harvest Store, that the prosecution is saying it's a match to Rick's car, which totally goes against his timeline, or at least the October 22 timeline. It totally adds up to his February 18th, 2017 timeline to Dan Doolin. So McClelland objected the exhibit was not certified. Baldwin said, how many people owned similar hatchback models in Carroll County or surrounding areas in 2017? Mullen did not know. Baldwin said Mullen created a log of missing interviews. So we know that there was some like 70 days or so of interviews that were written over because there was a technology issue. But Mullen did not say that at the March 18th contempt hearing. At this point, Mullen was given the transcript from the March hearing and admitted that at the time there was no log of the missing interviews, but then he said he found it in a filing cabinet since he testified at that March hearing. Baldwin asked about Libby's phone, and McClelland asked for a sidebar. After that, Baldwin said Dr. Walla was a, quote, fan of Delphi sites, end quote, aka websites discussing the case, and asked Mullen if it was important to find out if a van was discussed on social media over the years, since Rick apparently in his confession to Dr. Walla said a van interrupted him from raping Abby and Libby, so he took them across the creek and killed them. Mullen said he did not look to see, I guess, if there was any social media references to a van. Baldwin then said there were many mentions of a van on social media and said Mullen doesn't know what Walla said when she was taking care of Alan. Well, does Baldwin know what she was saying? Steve Mullen finished up with some jury questions. Jury question number 1, why would anyone discuss a van prior to Rick's confession? Mullen says, that's why we looked into this. This was the first we heard of it. Jury question, or actually that's it. Baldwin asked Mullen if they heard of a white van 30 minutes outside of Delphi with a suspicious thin man asking kids if they wanted candy. No, that was not me. Mullen did not recall. And honestly, like, I have no idea how that's even relevant to this case, like 30 minutes outside of Delphi asking kids if they want candy. I think that's a little bit of a stretch for the defense, but as always, feel free to disagree. We're moving on. Brad Weber's back. Guess who's back? Back again. Baldwin asked why he was upset when they talked before. He said, quote, I was upset because you were trying to tell me what I did when I got off work, end quote. So this seems to be a fairly large issue. So for people who don't know, Brad Weber lived at the end of the private drive under the bridge. Rick supposedly said he saw a van coming down that private drive, which is, there's only one reason for people to go down, and it's to go to the Weber's home. So on the stand last week, Brad Weber said he clocked out of work at 2:02 p.m. It takes about 20-25 minutes to get home. So he would have been home on that private drive around 2:30 when Rick said, guys, go down the hill, and he got interrupted. So the defense is trying to call into question whether or not Brad Weber went from work at 2:02 p.m. straight home, or previously in February 2017, he may have told the FBI that he worked on some of his ATMs as his side business. So Baldwin handed Weber a transcript from an FBI interview Weber did in February 2017. and asked if he told the FBI a different account than what he originally told police about his timeline. And Weber replied, according to you, yes. But I don't know, like, for me, it's like, why don't they say out loud exactly what this February 2017 interview said? I don't think it was revealed. So then it was also noted that Weber went on a 3-day trip to Arizona and got back the Sunday before the girls died. So obviously that was on a Monday when they died. Baldwin asked Weber about his ATM machine business. Weber makes money through surcharges, but does not know how many he had in 2017. He had 30 at one point and has 15 now. He attended to his ATM machines daily. Well, what if he did it daily? Then what was he doing on February 13th? Says he checks how much money they have and gets money from the bank. He doesn't know what bank he used in 2017, but thinks it was Regions Bank. His ATMs are at gas stations, taverns, restaurants, etc. He used a black Subaru car to drive to service his ATMs. He uses Regions Bank now, but not always the same branch. On February 13th, he went straight home from his job at the Subaru plant. Nobody from law enforcement asked him to go to a police station this past August. They asked him to go to, quote, a different location. It could have been Steve Mullen that called, end quote. I have no idea what that's really referring to. If they called him in again to clarify what he was doing on the day of the murders. Final quote from Weber, only time I used my van was when I was pulling a trailer, end quote. So did he say he dropped off a trailer early that morning? I'm not sure. Weber continued, said he took a nap when he got home after work on February 13th, the day of the murders, and got up around 5 p.m. when someone knocked on the door. Well, weren't police not called until after 5:30 p.m.? So I don't know. Maybe I forget when police showed up. So he couldn't be somewhat on point with his timing. Next question. Do trespassers come onto your property? Yes. He did not hear any screaming that day. He had a home in Lafayette in 2017 and owns a trailer. He gave law enforcement permission to go inside his house, but it was not on February 13th. His van was in the grass at his home, and the Subaru was in the driveway. Baldwin gave him a photo of his garage from February 19th, 2017. McClelland objected, but Gull admitted the photo. McClelland's cross-examination. Law enforcement stopped him on his way home a few times, probably on February 17th. Someone looked through his property on February 13th, and he talked to law enforcement on the 17th. He said he went straight home from work on February 13th. So he's pretty adamant. I was in court last week when he was on the stand for the first time, and he said, I went home after I clocked out at 2:02 p.m. No stops. Time for jury questions for Brad Weber. Number one, do you know if the ATMs would have photo or video of you servicing them to prove whether or not he truly went home? No, the actual ATMs did not have cameras, but some of the locations may have. Jury question number two, how far in advance would you have to order cash for ATMs? He said, getting cash is not a problem, but a week in advance. Three, what is the process to clock out of work? He said that they would go through a turnstile and maybe also use a badge. Question four, what driveway do you use at home? He said the driveway that goes under the Monon High Bridge. There was some reference previously last week to like a dirt driveway that he made, but he said here he would have gone under the bridge, so he could have been seen in a white van. Number five, do you drive under the bridge? Would you have taken that, somebody, I guess online they wrote round, but I think it should have been road on February 13th, and he said yes. Do you typically go home before servicing your ATMs? He said no. This is the final slide. The defense planned to have former state trooper Kevin Murphy testify, and he would have said that incident command always said there were more than one person involved in the investigation, aka more than one person committed the murders. The prosecution objected to that testimony. After the jury left the courtroom, Baldwin said he has an offer of proof for third-party suspects. He asked, I guess, Judge Gull, if Allen had asked police if my spit was on one of the girls, and then Gull told the defense, quote, We've had this discussion 1,000 times. You have no evidence to tie these people to the crime, end quote. Baldwin said, I believe there is more than a nexus. So that's that. Now I'll get to your comments. Hi, everybody. Hi, Miss Dog Lover. Thank you. I appreciate it. If my father did this, I would never speak to him again. My dad is the best, by the way. Yeah, I just don't think we should really look too much into what his daughter's showing up or never showing up. We shouldn't really read into it. Hi, Xtina. Hi, deities. Ah, hi, True Crime Swine. Reddit was going back and forth on whether or not Rick's daughter testified that she did not love him. I'm curious. I'm not sure what the exact question was or what her answer could have been. So hopefully within the next day or so, we'll get some more reactions from people in the courtroom. Hi, She Elf. Tried to watch coverage today, and person was so pro defense. So you had to stop watching? Hi, Noel. Does anyone know if Richard's daughter still looks like Abby on the stand? I've not seen a recent picture of her, but I'm sure people who are there could testify to whether or not she's changed. Hi, Paul. Thank you. Hi, Sienna. I just don't buy his sudden religion. Too many find God in prison to try to get paroled. I don't know. I mean, I think despite what Polly Wescott or Dr. Wescott said, it still doesn't answer like Rick's timeline, which actually, so this picture behind me, I took a few days ago on the trail in Delphi. And I'm curious because it made me think during some kind of testimony, Rick said apparently that he went to a bench overlooking the creek. And I thought it was the bench number 6 at Mears intersection, but obviously here, I always get that wrong. This is like, I think, bench number 3. So it's obviously kind of overlooking the creek also. So did police ever clarify, was it this bench in this photo or the Mears lot? I just still can't get over that. Like nobody saw Rick on the trail between 1 to 3, 1:30 to 3:30, or noon to 1:30. Didn't see him on the trail. Didn't see him on the trail, the bridge, or a bench. So we can debate his confessions as much as possible and his mental state in prison, but like the facts of February 13th don't add up to me to Rick being innocent. Noel says, true crime, another reporter there said she did love her dad. I don't know how that really affects his innocence or not. Hi, Sammy Joe. His poor wife, that's a lot for one woman. Yeah, apparently she was not in the courtroom today, probably because she was maybe going to testify. Although I thought they stopped around 3:15 or so today. Hi, BGBPW. I get Rick is unstable. No one sane would do any of these things, the crime and the behavior in jail he's accused of. But crazy doesn't explain the van detail he saw during the act that spooked him. Yes, I mean, there's just like facts from that day that don't add up. And as I just said, we can debate his mental state in prison, yet nobody really can explain where he was at 2:13. And according to him, during the first few days, he said he was on the trail or the bridge or the bench at 2:13 twice. He walked into the sheriff's station and said, I was there 1 to 3 o'clock. That means he was there at the time of the murders. Yet he did not see Bridge Guy or Abby and Libby or anybody else. Then he said 2 days later, on February 18th, 2017, I was there 1:30 to 2:30. And then 5 years later, when he's arrested, he said, oh no, it was noon to 1:30. None of those timelines add up. Hi, Cranky Babushka. Thank you. You're welcome. Hi, Venus Gal. He had frequent contact with wife and family. There's a lot of BS in here. He could focus. He could focus on a day away from her, while on the outside going to stalk 2 girls and rape and kill them. Yeah, Dr. Wescott was saying that Rick has some fragmented thoughts and stuff like that, but I heard his phone calls to his wife and mom, and I did not feel like he was going through psychosis or anything unusual. He sounded totally normal and was talking about other things even before he started confessing. So hopefully one day you guys will be able to hear those and decide for yourself. Hi, Lisbeth. Hi, another Amy. Attachment diagnosis, but spending time away while in the National Guard, I call shenanigans, liar. Well, they got married at 19, so I don't know how long he could have been in the National Guard. A year? Not sure that it's important, though. Hi, Gulls Gavel. Hi, Pink Diamond. You can pay anyone to come to any conclusion you want. I don't really want to call into question people's motives if they're like a defense or prosecution witness, like they're only saying things based on whoever's paying them. And I'm not going to call into question Dr. Wescott's ability to examine Rick compared to me listening to his phone call. So we'll see what the jury thinks. At some point last week, people thought maybe the defense is going to finish Wednesday. I don't know. Hi, Malibu. The original Judge Diener was super smart to remove himself from this shite show. That's true. Sienna, Rick said Satan killed the girls. I think Cindy said, yeah, he was right. Are you saying Rick was Satan? Hi, Juliana. Good morning. Yeah, please don't talk about politics. We disagree enough about other stuff, and I don't want the chat to turn into a disaster. Hi, Kevin. What do you think Doug Carter meant when he said, quote, you want to know what we know, and one day you will? How would that apply to Richard Allen? Probably the unspent round that was found near Libby's foot. That's I would say that's the main thing that I can think of. Maybe they thought the killer did not realize that he dropped that, maybe out of his pocket or something. And when they finally matched up Rick's gun to, well, according to the police, they matched it up, but that was what made them like arrest him, or part of it. Hi, Mitzi. Thank you. I don't have a Dairy Queen here, but I think I ate enough for a year's worth, but you paid retroactively. Thank you. I appreciate it. Sienna said, I've always thought this was a sexual related crime, their ages and how they were found. Well, Rick apparently said to Dr. Walla, he thought they were older than they appeared. Well, we know that Libby was found totally naked and Abby was wearing Libby's clothes. So how this all played out, I'm not sure. Hi, Daphne. Hi, Grunstruck. People want so badly for there to be a conspiracy in this case. I've tried to have an open mind, but I mean, the conspiracy list is huge. I mean, I just can't even go through the conspiracy list of people who don't even know Richard Allen, but they're all conspiring together to make him be the fall guy for this. And including Richard Allen, saying Richard Allen was the one who killed him. He's even in on the conspiracy. Cinder, hi. Yes, Rick's companions recounted, suicide companions, recounted lots of conversations with Rick, so he had someone around nearly constantly. That's true. I think it was at least over, I don't want to say false facts, but for a fair amount of time, these guards were constantly outside of Rick's cell. And I know the inmate companions were not supposed to be talking to him, but it seems like definitely the guards at Westville were talking to him. And I watched one after another last week get on the stand and say Rick said he was involved in the murders and he killed Abby and Libby. And all of them said they thought he was faking his crazy antics at certain times. Hi, Purdue. Nice to see you. Hi, Illegally Blonde. She said Rick's guilty. It's going to be interesting hearing the verdict of the jurors. Hi, I plead the fifth. Nice to see you. Sienna says, yes, Rick was not really in solitary. People are misusing that word. Well, I just don't understand where Rick should have been. Like, I don't think he could be in general population and risk getting injured being known as a man who's been arrested for murdering 2 kids, allegedly. So either he's going to be, I mean, what's his situation now in Cass County? We don't know. Is he alone in a cell? I highly doubt he's interacting with other inmates. Hi, Andrew. The worst conspiracy theorists in this case are the ones going after the family members of the victims. Yes. Absolutely disgusting. And most of them hide behind stupid names online and don't show their faces. So true crime design is a fucking bitch. Sorry, but she's an asshole. Sorry. I'm not sorry. Moving along. Ivy Rose. Hello, Tom and Chat. I don't even pay attention to true crime design, but from what I've heard, she is what I just said. I think her name's Olivia or something. Next. Dee Dee's. Isn't protective custody more accurate than solitary confinement? Well, yeah, he's under a safekeeping order because they couldn't keep him in Carroll County Jail because that place is a mess. Yeah, that's the new Carroll County Jail is opening December of this year. If you want to attend their ribbon cutting ceremony. Will Devin from Pizza Hut be catering? Ah. Sienna. I remember when people were accusing that guy, DP, who I just mentioned, was there with Shelby. This case has always had so much drama. Lots of people or lots of men accused, and also, like I said, the family members also. Noel says, I thought the defense was pretty weak today, but other channels think it went well for the defense. Crazy how split everything is. I have not watched other people. I just read the news websites. Kevin rewatched all that 2019 stuff and the Down the Hill podcast, episode 5, with former prosecutor Robert Ives. Odd to hear Ives talk about the scene and a lot of physical evidence. I mean, we've heard from the prosecution everything, so I'm not sure exactly what he could have been talking about for physical evidence other than Abby maybe wearing Libby's clothes, the branches, the blood, some of the clothes in the creek. Thank you, Amy. Malibu, where is Rick's cell phone? Good question. Is Rick's wife going to testify that she recycled it or sold it? Is there any kind of evidence where it could have been? And can police maybe track it down to somebody else buying it, either on eBay or somewhere else? Noel says maybe he got rid of it, or Malibu, he got rid of it. Cindy said, "Seems like Dave McCain was there the whole time." I don't know what he could add. I know that they said that police looked at his photos that he was taking, and they did not really see Bridge Guy or any cars that would be helpful in the investigation. Whoever this is, ATIG, technically, law enforcement did have a lot of DNA from the crime scene, just that we find now it was almost all the victim's DNA. Yeah, I mean, there's no other male DNA that points to somebody else other than Richard Allen. So I just don't know how there has to be DNA transferred when somebody kills somebody with a knife to their neck. BG says his sister could be lying. I don't know that she'd lie. Why would she lie? Or it happened before a time she remembered it could clearly remember. She was 5 years younger, but I don't know if Rick just said quickly, like, I molested this girl, my sister, and he did not give any like timeline or more details. Tardigrade, hatchling, there's loads of evidence. Yeah, there's stuff that I just don't feel like Rick can explain away. Obviously, he does not have to explain it away, but it remains to be seen. Will the defense call him on the stand? I highly doubt it, because when I was listening to his October 2022 interrogations, I felt like he does sound like the Bridge Guy voice. Noel, how in 2017 did the police not automatically take everyone's phone data the day of the murder? Have we learned nothing from true crime? I do find it odd that they did not even take Kelsey's phone to get the data. Not saying that she's a suspect, but just to maybe find out more information about timelines and stuff like that. Hi, Aquarian. Loxy says Rick did not bring his phone to the crime scene. Well, he said he was on his phone looking at a stock ticker program, and then he wanted to go home to use his computer to look at the stock tickers. I really want law enforcement and the prosecution to say what they did to try and find out what he did with his phone. When did he contact his provider, Ting, Ting, to say, I'm upgrading my phone? When was that? Cindy says if they actually knew what type of car it was, he would have been visited sooner. Yeah, it just seems odd to me. Well, we learned a few days ago that Tobe Lesenby said he wasn't really involved in this investigation. I was like, you're the sheriff of this Carroll County Sheriff's Department. I know that Tony Lee was like one of the lead investigators, but how could Tobe not really know much about this case? And with this 127 car headed towards CPS, how did Tony Liggett look at that video, which I don't know if he may have said on the stand that he did not. How can you look at that video and not notice the same thing as you drive by CVS multiple times a day? The CVS is 1 block from the Carroll County Sheriff's Department. I'm gonna have to go back to my notes to see if Tony Liggett even looked at that 127 Hoosier Harvestar video. I'm pretty sure Holman said he did not, that he had other people watch it, but I'm not sure about Liggett. Hi, Glow with the Flow. How does she know how tall he was? Well, it's interesting that Dan Doolan looked on the fishing license website, and in April 2017, Rick changed his height from 5'4" to 5'6". So why is the defense still saying he's 5'4" and 5'5"? I think somebody who's 5'4", 5'5", 5'6" can do this to other people who are also 5'4". Both Abby and Libby were 5'4". Malibu, the jury is asking good questions. We have only to rely on their decision. Gull denied the public the opportunity to assess this case. Yes, I saw the jury. They are paying attention. Nobody's really sleeping or not paying attention. So hopefully they're taking it serious. Hi, Susan. Just remember all the mentally ill, possibly people in prison for murder. It's no excuse and it's a disservice to mentally ill who follow the law. Yeah, I just don't think that just because he's acting crazy in jail means that his confessions were not true. Tardigrade, the totality of circumstantial evidence is overwhelming. I agree at this point. Hi, Noe. What is that? Three tornadoes? Loxy says there's a picture of Rick wearing jeans and they are baggy like Bridge Guy. Um, yeah, there's a photo of Rick. I don't know if I can find it real quick. Please stand by. Outside of CVS. Maybe I can show. All right, I'm going to show this. For people who have not seen, let me take this off. About 2 months before Rick was arrested, the CVS in Delphi was put up for sale for like $3 million. And they did a drone photo shoot of the parking lot and the building. So this photo, I'm going to zoom in. So this is like around August 2022, 2 months before Rick was arrested. So there he is on the here. Thank you to Bella for finding this. So that's him there. Here's his goatee, short hair, pants, small feet. I think this body type acts up or lines up with Bridge Guy. As always, feel free to disagree. Sienna says Brad Weber's ATMs would be easy to verify. Yeah, that should be hopefully something that they could find out if he truly did service any of them on February 13th. If he said he serviced them daily and he was gone for 3 days, wouldn't he probably have to go fill up ATMs on Monday? I'd like more clarification on that if I was on the jury. Hi, Jacqueline. I have a question. How is showing the jury his crazy behavior helpful to the defense in proving Rick is not Bridge Guy? I think they're only doing it to show that his confessions were false, that he lost his mind, and him saying over 10 months to a lot of people that he's guilty, it's only because he lost his mind, because he was in solitary confinement and also being given medication like Haldol. It doesn't prove anything about him not being Bridge Guy. Hi, Martha. I heard about the mailbox guy on Court TV today, and they couldn't explain who that person is or was. By the way, have you been to Dairy Queen since you're home? So the mailbox guy was Teresa Liebert and her husband live at the start of the private drive. They got home around 8:30 a.m. and saw some guy near their mailbox. They pull into the driveway and he looked around and he was gone. That was at 8:30, like 5 or 6 hours before Bridge Guy was near the bridge. I'm not sure that it really adds up to anything suspicious about this crime. Nobody else on the trail really described who she described. No, I've not been to Dairy Queen. I think I'm good for another year. Noel says, have you guys seen the videos from Facebook his wife deleted? Them hiking 7 miles and him dancing around pool table. Yes, I have seen that dancing video. So puts him in a different light. Yeah, as soon as he was arrested, I did go to his wife's Facebook and I did a video screenshot of the entire thing. Oh. Not sure that I found anything relevant. Obviously, a lot of us have seen the video of Rick in the car in the parking lot, and his wife like sneaks up on him. He's wearing a blue jacket, but it's too difficult to see if it matches the bridge guy jacket. Hi, Daisy. You're talking about Brad Weber. He said testimony before he dropped off a trailer earlier in the day. Well, he checked into work at 5:41 a.m. So I'd like to know more details about what he said within a few days of the murders. What time did he drop off the trailer? He said when he services ATMs, he drove the Subaru. When he uses the trailer, he drives the van. I'd like more details. I'm not sure if the jury can, I know they can ask questions, but can they ask for more evidence? Glow with the flow, assuming these young, scared girls would be screaming is ridiculous. Especially if somebody's like pointing a gun at you and saying, if you scream, I'm going to kill you and your best friend. I mean, I understand that people are like, well, why would they not scream? But also, there's good reasons for them to not scream. Dee Dee's, luckily, the jury is not exposed to the YouTube madness. Yeah, I think we have to remind ourselves that we know so many different random facts from looking at this case for years. These people really don't know much about this case as far as we know. So they seem to be very concerned about doing a good job and basing their decision on what they're being shown in court. Dee Berlin, the dancing video at the bar creeps me the hell out. Yeah, it triggers me also. Good night, Miss Dog Lover. Thank you for your continued generosity. Good night to you and your dog. Emily says, I'm so glad the jury is sequestered. Yeah, I think it's best for them to not even have an opportunity to look at the craziness online. Every morning, Judge Gull says to them, did you look at anything online? They all say no. Did anybody try to ask you questions? And they say no. Hi, Beverly. Beverly saw a home video of Rick in his yard prior to this crime. It is Bridge Guy. I've only seen something real quick where he's kind of like at a front doorstep or something, leaning over with a blue jacket, but it's so blurry, I could not really make any kind of determination. Mariah, when is Cooking with Strangers coming out? First weekend in January of 2025. I filmed 19 episodes. I've edited one. I'm too busy doing Delphi stuff. My members will get like advanced access probably, hopefully by the end of the year, or sorry, by the end of November. Once this trial is over, I'll have more time to start editing. Hi, Noe. I met Noe outside and we had a polite conversation and debate. Hi, Bernie. Hi, Sophie. Cindy, do you think the defense is close to finishing? I have no idea. In one of the news stories today, they said they've had 17 witnesses so far, which a lot of their witnesses seem to be very quick compared to the prosecution, other than Max Baker. Ah, I thought it said cooking with strippers. No, maybe that's a good idea. I'm trying to think of a variety of people to cook with and learn some recipes from. So thank you for the idea, Karen. But what do strippers cook? Uh, Maybe don't answer that. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Ateague, three note takers in court added that Rick's daughter said yes, she loved him. Okay. I don't think it's important in determining was he bridge guy or not. Speak life, garden homestead, and permaculture. Is that on your driver license? Ah, that would be my luck. My alibi, alibi, would be a nap and no one would believe me. Well, what's Richard Allen's alibi? We've never heard anything. I mean, to me, that's one of the huge things that it's like the defense says an old car was seen parked at CPS, but that since Rick did not have an old car from the 1960s, that means he was home. That's the only like alibi we've seen from the defense. Gull's gavel, it was a typo by WTHR, which is a local Indiana station. His daughter actually said, yes, Babe loved her father. Gull's gavel, are you talking to somebody and doing speech to text? Hi, blinker fluid. People were saying Rick's daughter looked like Libby, not Abby. I don't know if she still does. They were referring to an old picture of his daughter. Yeah, she was on she took a photo on this bridge, I think for her graduation photo. It was like a black and white photo. Also, she was photographed in a tie-dye t-shirt, which I think was like a charity thing for Abby and Libby. Hi, Kate. No, I'm not going back to Delphi. There's enough people there covering the case, and I'm glad I missed today's rain. Hi, Laura. I think Rick was one individual. Well, if he truly is guilty, he's never mentioned anybody else being involved. Hi, Moonchild. Yeah, so Rick's daughter apparently did say she loves him. Hi, caricature contest. I wish the jury would have asked if Rick had seen Bridge Guy or Abby and Libby. I know he said he'd only seen the three girls, but just to reiterate, well, they can't ask Rick anything unless he gets on the stand. It's going to be interesting if Rick's wife gets on the stand. There's this issue, I guess, where you're only allowed to ask certain topics. So I'm not sure that McClelland will have an opportunity to ask Rick's wife, any specific questions. Cindy, I wonder why Flannel Shirt Guy did not see Rick or Bridge Guy. Well, if they were off the um, south end of the bridge by 214, then I'm not sure at what point Flannel Shirt Guy got to the bridge and what he did when he got there. She elf seems unfair to ask his daughter that unless the defense knew she's going to say yes to make it seem like she does love her father. Hi, Jason. I swear the defense seems intent on strapping explosive to themselves and lighting a fuse in front of the jury. They had 2 years to map out a logical defense of their client. Sheesh and dopes. I mean, they're still going for this Odinist stuff, which I have not seen any proof from them that these guys, like Judge Gull said, were there. Rick said he was there at 2:13, so I think that it would just be wasting the jury's time. Laura says, I think Rick had several mental disorders that may have been the genesis of this horrific act. According to one of his confessions, he said he got a 6-pack, drank 3 beers, bundled up, and then had the other 3 beers after he did this. To me, that's really specific. If somebody's crazy, why do you include, like, I bought a 6-pack and I drank 3 of them before I killed 2 girls, and then I drank 3 after? Also, bundled up, Bridge guy looks bundled up, but it was supposedly a nice day out. So why is Rick bundling up? Tardigrade, hatchling, he was there. He has the same clothes, same build, voice, same gun. He confessed, and now we learn he's psychotic. You make some good points there. Hi, Satspire. I'm a bit confused. Me too. Join the club. I'm confused outside of this case and inside of it. I'm a bit confused on Weber's testimony about driving the van. He was at work checking the ATMs. Said he only uses the van to tow trailers. So that sounds like he was towing that day, so no van. No, I think his normal job, I think they said 6 to 3, is working at Subaru. From my recollection, on the day of the murders, he checked in at Subaru at 5:41 a.m., out at 2:02 p.m. He has a side business where he would, I guess, service and put cash in ATMs. When he did the ATMs, he would drive a Subaru. And when he would do something with a trailer, he would use his white van. But there needs to be more clarification for the jury to make the proper decision. Hi, Susan. I saw your light. My forehead is kind of shiny. Is it glowing, like glow with the flow? But thank you, Susan. Malibu said, Rick said he had beers in the morning. Yeah, I'd like to know more about like where he stopped to get a 6-pack. If didn't police or FBI go around town getting video of stuff? We heard that the Marathon gas station, they lost the video. And Rick lived close to Marathon gas station. I'm not sure if they sell alcohol there. Real Plant Diaries. He first said 1:30 to 3:30. Technically, that's not correct. Give me 1 second. Oh, that's not funny. Why am I laughing? So murders on the 13th, they're found on the 14th. 15th at the night time, they release the screenshot of Bridge Guy and possibly, I think, the go down the hill. The next day on the 16th, Rick apparently walks into the sheriff's station and says, I was there. He told his wife he was on the trail. February 16th, he says, I was there. 2 days later, February 18th, oh no, sorry, back that thing up. February 16th, he said, I was there 1 to 3. 2 days later, he talks to Dan Doolin in the Save-A-Lot grocery parking lot. There, he says, I was there 1:30 to 3:30. So February 16th and 18th, he says, I was there at the time of the murders, 2:13. 5 years later, it changes to noon to 1:30. Are we going to believe him a few days after the murders or not? However, you can say the same thing about here, Weber. Like if he's now saying almost 8 years later, I know I went to straight from home, but a few days after the murders, he's saying he went to service ATM machines or something. That's concerning to try and figure out if he truly was driving his van down his driveway around 2:30. High Fire and Fury. He also at the time didn't know there was a video and pic. That's not true. That came out, at least the photo came out at night on the 15th, the day before he went in. But one of the things is, I believe it's the October 26th interview with Holman. Holman leaves the room and Rick's wife comes in. Quite a few of us thought that she said, "You told me you were on the trail. You never told me you were on the bridge." This is whatever, 5 years after the murders and 13 days after they searched his house. Why did he not tell his wife that he was on platform one? Certain things just don't add up to him being truthful. Glow with the flow. Yes, I love Cranky Babushka. Has anybody heard from Sparkplug Peggy in the past 6 months? I guess she's over me, like a lot of people. Yeah, in case you see, apparently somebody's mad at me that I took a picture with Anthony Greeno. I don't know, like, just because I do YouTube videos about the case, I don't know the life history of everybody else who does YouTube videos about Delphi. I don't know their entire internet history, their video history, their comment history. I just don't know a lot about Anthony Greeno. I know, like, his reputation is not that great. However, in the line, the first night, I was standing there, I was cold, I had no chair. He offered me a chair and a blanket. He was polite to me, so when I came out of the courthouse this past Saturday, he asked me for a photo, and I wasn't gonna say no. He's never done anything bad to me, so apparently people are complaining that I took a picture with him, so moving along, there's more important things in life, and also, I just wanna say, like, a few people asked me for photos. I wasn't gonna say no, and I do understand, like, standing in front of this courthouse, like, smiling, it's not like I don't want it to come across as the wrong way, like, "Oh, yay, here we are at this double murder trial." You can never, like, have the right answer for this stuff, but I'm just trying to say, like, I understand that it looks bad, but at the same time, people ask me for pictures, and I was not gonna say no. So that's that. Always something to complain about. Illuminating ink. Even saying you saw a van in the area he took the girls tells you it's the truth. That area was so remote, no one would even imagine seeing a car there. That's extremely correct. The only reason to go that far down the driveway is to deliver something or the homeowner, and the homeowner owned a van. At one point, there was a rumor that Rick did say it was a white van, but I'm almost certain that Mullen or Harshman said Rick did not confirm the color. He only said a van. Hi, Jocelyn. Jacqueline, when Rick told Kathy, "I did it," she says, "No, you didn't. Stop saying that." But Rick continues to repeat to her that he did it. That is very telling to me. Yeah. I mean, Rick's wife and mom, and I guess his daughter can be lumped in there. These are like the three most important people in his life. And he's trying to tell them on the phone, like, "I did it," like trying to reveal this finally. And they're like, "No, stop." So I think he stopped because he saw that it was upsetting them. And that's the reason that he stopped saying it. But I'm not lying. What I heard was very convincing to me. I think he's guilty after hearing those phone calls. Speak says, "Wonder if Rick will take the stand." I highly doubt it. You never know. AT, does the jury get off to vote tomorrow? I don't think so. I think they were told to send in their early ballots. Yeah, the one good thing about like being in Delphi and doing the trial like all day, every day for almost 3 weeks, I did not like focus on anything else, like no news whatsoever. Tomorrow should be interesting, but we're not talking about it. Um, Venus Gal, has Kathy been in the courtroom since the defense started their case? I'd say if so, she was not a sequestered witness and was missing for some. I know that on Saturday she walked into the courtroom before we started, and then she walked out. And it was mentioned that she was not in the courtroom today. So maybe, yes, for the defense part of it, maybe she has not been in the courtroom at all. She was there every day for the prosecution stuff. Caricature contest, I think it's very telling that Richard Allen never went through an "I'm innocent, help me" phase before the other phase. Well, he apparently did say he was innocent while in Westville. Then that started changing in March after he found religion. Fire and Fury, I think Rick knew he dropped the round from his gun, but did not know how you could trace an unspent bullet. Well, I'm wondering if he said he did like pull back the gun to intimidate Abby and Libby at the end of the bridge and put it in his pocket, and maybe it fell out as he was like moving stuff around, like bodies, unfortunately, and stuff, or Libby's body at least. Did he know where it fell out? It was in the ground, so he probably stepped on it at some point. And like you said, he may not have known that there was this supposed science to match it up to his gun. Oh. Jason is concerned that jurors are missing their college's best football season ever. Yeah, I saw online that they're ranked 8th. Good luck. Noel says the lady with long blonde hair and her husband, Dr. John, he had a great analysis today. That's hidden true crime. Lauren, I talked to her and her friend Grayson in the line. They're both very nice. I had never heard of their channel. I'll have to check it out. Hi, Bridge. Thank you. Fire and Fury. I think he knew the bullet was there because he said he sat there till he knew the girls were dead. Yeah, that's an interesting point also to say, I waited to make sure they were dead. Like, why would you include that if it's not true? Malibu, what about the keepsake box on the dresser with the round? The round in the keepsake box was a Winchester, and the round at the crime scene was a Winchester, 40 caliber. I'm not sure if they, I think they showed photos to the jury to show exactly what each one looked like. Rick also had Blazer brand rounds in his magazines for his gun. Speak life. I believe Richard Allen. He accepted God and confessed. Too bad no one would let him. I imagine that would drive one mad. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. Like, if he's trying to reveal this huge secret to his wife and mom, I mean, really, they were just like saying, nope, stop talking. That's not true. I know you. You're not capable of this. And I understand, like, a mother and daughter, or whatever, a mother and wife thinking that their son and husband could not be capable of this, but that doesn't mean that he didn't do it. Juliana, when's the last day? We don't know. Currently, it's scheduled for Friday, February 15th. So another, like, almost a week and a half. But that's with the defense at some point thinking that they could maybe present the Odinist theory, the Kagan Klein, Ron Logan as like, look over here, stop looking at Rick. So today, Judge Gull said, no, stop asking me. Like I told, she said we went over this 1,000 times or something. So who else is going to be presented by the defense? I guess we have to wait for Betsy Blair to come back. And also, I'm pretty sure Baldwin said he did not release Sarah Carbois from her subpoena. So she might be called back again. Hi, Manic Meerkat. D. Berlin, right. How convenient of him to change his timeline to 12 to 1:30 only after it was widely known when the girls met their demise. Just that alone is sus. I believe Richard Allen is guilty. I mean, that's a huge difference. 1 to 3. A few days later, 1:30 to 3:30, and then 5 years later, oh no, noon to 1:30. It doesn't add up. Yeah, that I guess I went off on somebody 40 minutes ago. I'm 40 minutes behind on comments. Jocelyn, it's called solitary confinement. It's being single-celled in a restricted housing unit that is monitored very closely by staff. True crime spine, no, not you. You're nice, I think. MJ, didn't he confess even when he was out of solitary? Yes, he confessed February 4th, 2024 at Wabash. I don't remember everything. I have 239 pages of notes. I'm not going to take a break and go through it. Somewhere in there, I have one of the guards from Wabash, I think February 2024. A guard was maybe doing like a 15-minute round, and Rick was maybe praying on his bed and maybe said, I killed Abby and Libby. So even after he was out of Westville, he was saying he's guilty. April 2023 to February 2024, isn't that 10 months of confessions and admissions? Noel doesn't show his face to protect us from looking at it? What? Yeah, would somebody check on Pizza Hut, Devin? Illuminating ink. I would find myself the best attorney who deals with defamation and sue the crap out of anyone who falsely accused me of murder. I'm not sure what the rules are for like going after people on YouTube or social media who falsely say you are a killer. I'm not sure if I heard a rumor that maybe the family is waiting until after the trial to maybe look into that. Just a rumor, probably. Sienna, this case could be a study in tribalism and how people have to take sides. Yeah, it's been an interesting journey, like online for me. Fire and Fury proves how everyone sees things differently. Yeah, somebody who's been a longtime member of my channel said she's going bye-bye because she's over me. Because she watches, I guess, Lawyer Lee, Andrea Burkhart, and Defense Diaries and says, like, their descriptions of the jury watching Rick's prison videos on Saturday was totally different than mine. And I was like, I mean, I was looking straight at the jury, ready with my pen to write down if they had any kind of facial reaction. Nobody raised their eyebrows. Nobody's jaw dropped. I didn't see any reactions, but she said like the defense people were saying, or the defense, whatever, YouTubers were saying something different than me, which I did not watch them. But I mean, like Bob Mata walks in at 8:45 a.m. every day, sits like 2 seats to the left of Kathy Allen, and on his left is two of the defense investigators. So he has a seat every day provided by the defense team. So like he's really going to say anything bad about the defense? Anyway, I don't watch him, so I'm not sure what he's saying. Hi, Laura. I'm so afraid Rick is going to walk, aka be found not guilty. I don't think that will happen. I believe once the jury heard his multiple confessions, it was a done deal. For me, when I heard the confessions, the multiple confessions, it was a done deal. I don't know how the defense and Rick are going to get past that. To me, they have not changed my mind so far. Also, from what I've seen, when I was in the court for, I don't know, 2 weeks or so, I don't think 12 people will say he's not guilty. That's that. Laura, what do you think of his supposed dependent anxiety disorder? I don't think anything about it. We're at one. We're at an hour and 20 minutes as usual. I'll try and stop around 1:59. The only show that I would sidebar. Yeah, I have some new phrases. I need to start saying strike that from the record when I say something inappropriate. I only watch like Survivor, the TV show. It's been on for like 2 months and I've missed it. I haven't seen one episode, so I'm hoping to start watching it in case anybody cared. Juliana, he might walk. I feel like they are going to test that hair again and then have another trial. If they cannot come to a verdict, all 12 saying he is guilty, I think McClelland will have another trial. I don't think he's going to like let down Abby and Libby and their families. Venus Gal, Rick was not even telling total truth to Walla. Some people are criticizing Dr. Walla, but she seemed to be compassionate towards Rick. She wanted him to have visits in person with his wife. She wanted him to have certain things in his cell. To me, she does not sound like somebody who's like trying to ruin him. Hi, Kari. I'm not sure what you wanted to say, but there's nothing else there. Oh, do you cook? No. That's why I need help from strangers. I need mental health also. Sienna, it is funny that the people who think one man could not do this crime also accuse one girl who was 17 at the time. Yeah, good point. Good question. Yeah, I know nothing. So I do suggest like you do watch like these other attorney broadcasts. D. Berlin, does anybody know what will happen to Ricky if there is a hung jury? Does he get released? Did anybody answer that? We'll find out. Daisy said probably why Rick or the bridge guy threw some of the clothes into the creek. Disintegrate potential DNA transfer. I've always wondered that, but I wonder like how would his hands touch Libby's sneaker, Abby's jeans and underwear, Libby's tie-dye shirt, at least one sock. There's another kind of handkerchief. I don't know. Did he maybe wear gloves? Maybe we'll find out one day if he truly confesses. Hi, Claire. I wonder when Rick stole the box cutter from CVS. That shows premeditation to me. Otherwise, why steal it? I'm not sure that was really stealing. He may have just had one in his jeans pocket, although I think he wore khakis to work. I don't know if he ever said he stole the box cutter. I believe they say they are issued to all employees of CVS. So I don't know that he necessarily stole it. Venus Gal, here's one. Conspiracy theorists make it a big deal of, I think, Rick's DNA. But if it was some other male, where's his DNA either? Is that what you're trying to say? Are you smoking doobie? A, have heard that outdoor crime scenes often it's hard to recover suspect DNA. I just don't know, as I've said many times, if you're going to stab somebody with a box cutter or a knife in their neck, like why is it like required that you have to transfer some kind of DNA doing that? MJ, will Kevin or Chris, the two males that Rick apparently referenced that he molested at some point in his life, who he also mentioned to molesting, be called to the stand? Well, today, the prosecution asked Rick's half sister, do you know the name Chris? I guess from their childhood, like a neighborhood kid. And I guess the defense objected and they did not answer that. Dee Dee's with the answer. If there's a hung jury, does Rick What was the question? Or the question? Does he get released? Dee Dee says no, still in custody and awaits a new trial unless prosecution decides not to do another trial. All right, thank you. Jason suspects Rick threw away his cell phone. It's probably in the Carroll County landfill. He probably told Kathy he lost it or something. Who knows? I just want to find out more from his phone provider when there was a change in phones after the murders. Fire and fury. If the defense really believed he was innocent, I think they would put him on the stand, in my opinion. Well, we've debated this for a while. I've said if I was innocent of killing 2 kids, but everybody's saying I did it, my butt would be on that stand ripping apart the investigators and every fact that they're trying to say that I was there. But people say against that, like, attorneys are there to represent the defendant. And like saying like, oh, the prosecution's going to trip him up and stuff like that, whatever. If you're innocent, stand up for yourself. Speak up for yourself. Susan watched a video from Rick's wife's Facebook and heard him talking on a chairlift, and he did sound like Bridge Guy. Side by side comparison. Yeah, I would say in the October 13th interrogation, when I saw it in the courtroom, I definitely thought for the first time, yes, he does sound like Bridge Guy. Hi, Louise. Blinker fluid replies to people that all short people must be innocent of all crimes. Free all short people. Hi, MJ. Thanks for becoming a member. On this weekend, I'm probably not doing a live chat on Saturday. On Sunday, maybe at 1 p.m. Eastern, I'll do a member live chat followed by a public live chat at 4 p.m. to discuss Saturday's stuff. Illuminating ink. The only question I have is, does he, Rick, have other victims, and how many times did he go there prepared before he found the right opportunity? I bet he tried it many times before. Well, the defense at one point said Rick went to the trails often, but his daughter today said they only crossed the bridge once or twice. I think Detective Vito at one point said he's the guy who like did some of the cell phone extractions. He said he's qualified for vehicle infotainment analysis. I was very curious to find out if they did it for Rick's car and found his 2017 information. They did not present it, so I guess not. But like, why could they not find like the prior year to see if Rick went to the trail? To combat the defense saying he went there often, and then if his 2016 Ford Focus between like 2021 and 2022 said he never parked his car anywhere near the trails, why would he stop going? Daphne says Tobe Lesenby seems to want to wash his hands to all of this. What about his mustache? Kate says, I'm such an idiot. Richard has 2 sisters. From what I've heard, Rick's dad was knocking to boots. That's an old 90s song reference. With a lot of, I don't know, Rick has maybe 6 total half siblings and stuff. Hi, Cryptex. If you were a jury, would you vote guilty? I've been saying for years I would, or whatever, for 2 years, I would vote not guilty. After being in the courtroom this last week, listening to one Westville guard after another and one Wabash guard, just saying the things that Rick was saying to them, listening to, I think it was 7 phone calls to Rick's wife and mom. He did not sound crazy at all. He sounded like he was telling the truth, revealing this deep, deep, dark secret. They rejected him repeatedly. I would vote today guilty. I believe Richard Allen. I don't think he's a liar or he was making stuff up. Although I'm sure people say, well, if his sister said she was not molested, then he was making certain things up. I totally understand that point. But from what I've heard and seen, I would vote guilty. Hi, Kelly. Thank you for joining. Are you waiting for cooking episodes? Hopefully, I'll get to one of them soon. Sienna, yeah, I was so surprised that Doug Carter was on the stand for such a short time, and the defense really didn't go after him. Sienna said, I wish the defense had asked Doug Carter why he told the FBI to stop working on the case. Maybe they're waiting for Nicole Robertson from the FBI to testify. Maybe that's tomorrow. I don't know who could be tomorrow. No, are we allowed to say how on earth Kathy did not put two and two together? 30 years married, and she probably buys his clothes. Something in the video. I'm struggling. A lot of people are struggling too. But like I said, apparently he only told her he was on the trail. It was not until police told her on October 26th, 2022, he said he was on the bridge too. And she walks into the interrogation room and she's like, you never told me you were on the bridge. Even with that, I agree with you, and a lot of people do. But as she says in her phone calls with Rick, I don't think you're capable of this. So I think a lot of people watching would not imagine their spouse is capable of killing two kids. So I understand that. I thought you went to bed, Miss Dog Lover. Hi, Phil. I don't know how investigators would not look at everything instead of delegating to others. Yeah, a hot mess investigation, hot mess express, so many errors. So, yeah, I don't even want to go into it. But police need to investigate their investigation because it sucked. Laura, with a good point. He should have been questioned by police as soon as Dan Doolin did the interview and said this guy said he was there at 2:13. He said he was at the trail at the time of the murders. I bet everyone else that was there that day was questioned by police. Yeah, at some point they said, we've talked to everybody and identified everybody except Bridge Guy. How this piece of paper got lost and it got marked cleared, I have no idea. In the courtroom, they said maybe a dispatcher wrote cleared, but they had no answer for him. Kate, I think you should cook a goose in honor of Richard. Uh-oh. Shady. Kari, no. This was in Delphi a few days ago. That was a very beautiful scene at sunset. Hi, makes me wonder. Rick was all spunky and chunky while dancing in the barroom pool video. I will not be doing that dance, the fish out of water dance. Hi, Kay. Nice to see you. He was never in solitary confinement, not 1 minute. There seems to be some debate about terminology here. I guess that's the CVS picture. I don't think I've ever seen this picture. I do think Bridge Guy's stature and shoes match Rick's stature and shoes. I believe Tom skedaddled. What happened? Did you miss me? Or did I go bye-bye? Uh, Daisy says, the shack was mentioned by Doug Carter to get Rick to confess. If you watch the movie, you'll see it's about forgiveness and faith. Well, maybe I think it's based on a book. Maybe somebody should send Rick the Shack book. See what happens. Blinker fluid. Yeah, that was pretty crazy that the drone captured Rick out, I guess on his lunch break or something. Sanger, whoops. I think they're small shoes. What? What's wrong? Yeah, so I contacted the realtor who took that, and they only took photos, not an actual video. But I've shown it previously. In that same photo, Rick's car is backed into the parking spot, and police took a photo of his car backed in at CVS. And during the trial, they did say it kind of matches how what they think is the unknown car, CPS, backed it up to the CPS old building, which Rick said, I parked next to an old building. Noel says the skull cap in the video does it for me. It's not common, and he so happened to wear one the same day. Yeah, he was photographed at the pool or whatever, playing pool at the bar with like a darker green skull cap, which may be what Bridge Guy's wearing. But I think maybe Rick said he wore a black one in his jacket. Kate says, does someone experiencing psychosis have the ability to count skipped meals and not skip more than 3 in a row? Emoji. Yeah, Dr. Wallace said Rick was definitely aware that there were consequences for skipping 4 meals in a row, so he'd only skip 3 in a row. And there were the guards were also saying like he seemed to like manipulate his behavior for his own gain. True crime swine. I think they're trying to show his insanity and also put as much time between the prosecution's witnesses and jury deliberations as possible. It's going to be an interesting verdict. Caricature contest. So the elephant is, has Rick done this before? Well, they have his DNA in the system, and it seems to not match up to anybody else. However, his DNA does not match this crime scene either. So, high swimming with sharks. Be careful out there. I haven't heard the defense talk about Rick's alibi after he supposedly left the trails at 1:30. They never have. I said like an hour ago, the only thing the defense has ever said about Rick's whereabouts, it was in the Frank's memo, volume 1 of many, that because Betsy Blair saw a car from the 1960s at around 2:15 at CPS, Rick does not have a car from the 1960s. That means that Rick was home. If I'm on a jury, it's like that's not enough to convince me. And also, we never found out the month that Rick went into some kind of mental health facility in 2019. How close was it? Was it before or after the April 2019 press conference? Could it have been like precipitated by that press conference? Sammy Joe was a psychologist today trying to say he was mentally slow in general or just during his time of psychosis. It was not clarified. However, somebody I know, who I won't reveal their identity, they interacted with Rick before he was arrested, obviously not after. I would say their general summation was that maybe he was mentally slow. But obviously he worked in management and had a decent job, so I don't know. I'm not gonna comment more. Malibu, do we have a timeline regarding the confessions over a 9-month period and the appointment of counsel? Uh, what do you mean appointment of counsel? Baldwin and Rosie were appointed like mid-November 2022. I need to make a spreadsheet. What that's a why did I even say that? I'm done with spreadsheets. Um, so I think it was a 10-month period, early April 2023 to early February 2024, like 10 months, writing a letter to the warden saying, I want to confess, like actually picking up a piece of paper and a pen, like what precipitated him doing that? I don't know. It's like so suspicious to me. I'm not saying it means he's guilty, but like, why are you picking up a pen and paper and saying to the warden, I'd like to confess to you? Telling people in person, picking up a tablet and telling your wife and mom, like calling them specifically to say, I killed Abby and Libby. I did it. No, I did it. And they're just like rejecting him. So to me, it's just so suspicious over a 10-month period, two different prisons. It's suspicious. Kate B, Rick's alibi was that he went home to look at stocks. I wrong. Sienna says, I don't think Rick had done anything like this before. Probably had fantasies though. Yeah, I don't think based on his description, he did not go there to kill. Like his fantasy was not murder. It was sexual. Like I don't know what this whole thing is like. How can you think you can rape two females? But once that was like I guess interrupted by this van, he's like, I have to kill them or else they're gonna come into CVS and identify me and my life is over. So unfortunately he ended their lives. Lee says you are put in the cars to sleep. I've put humans to sleep, dogs to sleep, and now I'm putting cars to sleep with my voice. Oh, do I wake people up when I laugh? Cindy J, yeah, this is a good point. So the defense asked for an FBI agent, Adam Pohl, to testify via Zoom because he's in Texas. And Gull said no. They spent, the prosecution or Cal County spent $72,000 on this podium and TV. I disagree with Judge Gull. He should have been allowed to testify via Zoom. So that's that. She doesn't care. Hi, another Amy. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Oh, putting the cats to sleep. I'm looking for different topics we haven't talked about. I'm still like 50 minutes away. We're approaching an hour and 59 minutes. Yeah, so I'm doing these chats at the same time every night for the rest of the trial. So I'll see you maybe tomorrow. JMW thinks the jury is being abused. They did get some activities on Saturday, but we don't know what it was. Scott, anybody know where I can see the picture of Richard Allen at CVS? The one I just showed? Just go back to where I was showing it and you can do a screen capture on your computer. Glow with the Flow, profiler Pat Brown said the jury usually lies about not researching online. Hopefully she's wrong. Well, this jury is being watched. Gull says every morning if they look at their phone for work or personal, somebody from the sheriff's department or something, police are watching over their shoulder or something. So they're not doing anything they're not supposed to be doing. Fire Fury, yes, I believe next Friday is technically the last day of the trial, but we don't know when the defense is going to rest. Caricature contest. I wish the jury could see Tom's spreadsheets and a written out timeline of the day witnesses. Maybe they will, but it really makes you see Bridge Guy was Richard Allen so plainly. Yeah, I really think the prosecution needs to focus on their closing arguments and maybe bring back some of these witnesses and clarify the timeline. It just does not add up to Rick telling the truth. Kate B cooking with inmates. I don't know about that one. Paperclip antenna. Thank you for sharing. I once worked at a deli inside a strip club. It was gross. I won't say anything about salami. Did they play hide the salami? Oh, next. Sorry, that was inappropriate. Um, moving on. That's going to be on Delphi Dummies. Sanger, Texas. I'm a big fan of I seen statements. Yeah, I have a degree in English. I prefer to say I saw, but it's okay. We understand what people are saying. Hi, Dur. Do you wish you were still there covering it, or do you feel like you saw what you needed to see, guilt or innocence wise? Well, I mean, I should to make a informed decision. Like I said, not that my opinion matters. I should be there to hear what the defense has to make a truly whatever informed decision. I did feel like I saw enough and heard enough with Rick's confessions and some of the testimony by other people. I was just so exhausted. I had to go. And I felt like I only really went there because of honestly, like you people, like just getting to know like thousands of people around the world who care about this case and the girls. I just felt like an obligation to go there and like convey what was going on. So I did not know that there was going to be like a bunch of reporters there. Obviously, we knew that there was going to be reporters, but I just wanted to give like as much detail as possible. And there are other people online who are doing it. So I just felt like I did not really need to be there anymore. And I was so exhausted. Sassfire, I wish they would have asked his daughter if he talked to her about being careful not to go to the trails alone, things like that. I totally agree. I've said that previously. After these murders, did he say to her, do not go there? Although she said she moved away in 2015, so maybe she would not even be going. Just continuing your thought. Sorry, I interrupted. That a worried parent would discuss with a horrific crime so close. Yeah, I think with her moving away in 2015, maybe that conversation was not necessary. 11 more minutes. Heather Marie, where can we see Cooking with Strangers debuting first weekend in January next year? Or for my members, they'll get early access to things as soon as I edit them. I have 19 episodes. I've edited the first one, but I still have to record my theme song. I have a theme song. I'm not going to sing it right now. Kate says, how weird is it that Richard knew Flannel Shirt Guy? When was it revealed that he knew him? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's true. Rick did say it was revealed at some testimony that he interacted with Flannel Shirt Guy Dave McCain when Rick worked at Walmart. He, I guess, was trying to get some Walmart has maybe a volunteer program, so they cleaned up the trails, and Rick worked with Flannel Shirt Guy to organize that event. Scott says alcohol combined with antidepressants. Am I good at recreating emojis or no? JMW, how many cans were in that pouch? You mean cans of beers? And oh yeah, that's a good question. You think Rick put or Bridge Guy had? I should just start saying Bridge Guy. If I'm saying Rick was guilty, then he's Bridge Guy. I'm just so used to not saying that he was Bridge Guy until I finally changed my mind this past week. We know that there's a lot of stuff in that jacket, or we assume. It doesn't seem like anything was really left at the crime scene, though. I'm smiling, sorry. There's some of these that I can't highlight. Beverly lawyer working at CVS, you meet a lot of locals, and that's a good point that I think the defense should bring up, asking these witnesses, the 4 girls, Betsy Blair and Sarah Carbois, how many times did you go into CVS after the murders in 5 years? The other day, Mullen said nobody out of 70,000 tips mentioned Richard Allen. Although I think some people online said they tipped him in. So what up with that? Robin is curious if Rick drank on the trail and left any cans or bottles. I don't know that he would have had any time if he arrived at 1:30, if he is bridge guy, walks down to the bridge and is on platform 1. Betsy Blair sees him, and then Abby and Libby are there soon after. So Tom is 50 minutes behind, and there's 8 more minutes left in the chat. You wrote that a long time ago. Jason, that's not Google Maps. It's a drone of CVS. Hi, Annie. Hopefully you're not working. Scott says, I'm sorry, but you could rent out ad space on your forehead. Just kidding. All right. I can make fun of myself occasionally, but my forehead is getting, unfortunately, further and further back. Oh, well, you got to laugh. Noel says, speak life. That's the other user. They don't use logic. One person has to leave DNA, but 10 people could not, like the Odinist. Amy, thank you. I was trying to post a pic of my dogs and messed up this donation. Can you say, I'm going to say all the animal names that I know just to see if they'll have a reaction. Odysseus, Achilles, Sophie, Charlie. I forget one other one, but thank you, Amy. Hi, Dan. Thank you for your generosity. I appreciate it. Are you the one who went to school with Rick and you say he 100% sounds like Rich Guy? No. Did Rick go to the police station and then meet the guy in the parking lot? I'm almost certain they said he did walk into the sheriff's department. And then they said, we'll take your information. And then they later had Doolin call him 2 days later. Kate says there's something wrong with Kathy and Richard. She was making bunny ears on her friend in the court the other day. I did not see that. While Richard laughed at a murder trial. Well, to be honest, like even the families are having moments of laughter and smiling. It's obviously a horrible situation, but just like in general, people's personalities and general conversation, you're trying to like be humorous. At least most people are. So I don't know that I really criticize people for laughing, but I get your point. Scott is curious if Rick's wife was watching the movies in those search terms, like looking for the craziest movies on Netflix or something. We have 5 more minutes. Please, hi Pizza Ting. Please let's not talk about Trump or Kamala. It turns the chat into a disaster. Karen says, did Brad Weber drop a trailer off on his lunch hour? I would just like to hear more confirmation. If I was on the jury, like get some more details exactly what he said in 2017, and also like some kind of receipts if he truly was doing ATM work on that day. Heather says, you need to visit Cincinnati and get our chili dog and 3-way spaghetti. I've never heard of 3-way spaghetti. I'm concerned. I'm gonna have to ask. I'm gonna ask Siri. Amy Gordon loves when I ask Siri. Hey Siri,
Hmm?
What is three-way spaghetti? Oh. Three-way spaghetti is spaghetti with chili and cheese on top. Good night. She wrote good night. All right, we're almost done. I'll do like 3 more comments. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, my moderators. Thank you everybody for who donated. I truly appreciate you. Amy, Dan, Kelly and MJ, Miss Doglover twice, and Mitzi. Thank you. Sienna says, I don't think his lawyers want him to speak. I would be shocked if he speaks and gets on the stand. 2 more. Yeah, I agree, Ivy. I said that before. I think she should allow it. They have the technology to do it, so why not? Hi, Danielle. I like your screen name. Thank you. Yeah, I don't recall hearing this. Who said that Rick admitted to being a sex addict? I forgot that part. All right, I'll do 3 more comments. We're at 1 hour 56 minutes. Heather, who are you going to watch when the jury is out? Who should we watch if Tom is not there? I would say watch like the local TV stations. There's Fox 59, Wish TV, and WTHR. I think there's either 8 to 12 reporters in there, so I would suggest watching them. If you want more detail, there's Lawyer Lee, Andrea Burkhart. Sorry if I'm forgetting people. Beyond the Evidence. Turbo is there. I'm sure it's going to be news everywhere when it comes out, the verdict. Somebody said Rick was eating a Post-it note. I don't know about that. And what did they ever show Rick eating paper? And was it truly his legal documents? That never came up in court. Glow with the Flow. Did the jury ever get to hear his voice? Yes, the October 13th and 26th, 2022 interrogations. Gull said she allowed the jury to read a transcript as they were being played, but they had to return the paper. And she said the actual videos and audios will be the admitted evidence, not the actual like printed out transcripts. I'm like 50 minutes behind. I'm so sorry, everybody. Like I try my best, but hopefully you guys were polite to each other. We're wrapping this thing up. Oh yeah, so Dan did say, I've known Ricky since kindergarten. He's guilty. I guess we'll end on that one. Thank you for sharing your local knowledge, Dan. I appreciate it. I know your wife, I think, sent me something the other day. So thank you both. All right. We'll have to find out what the defense is going to present in the next few days to maybe change my mind or the jury's mind. Obviously, their mind is more important. That's it, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. I'll make as many PowerPoint slides as needed to give you all like some updates about what happened. Thank you and see you tomorrow.